In the anime community, there is a consensus of manga and light novels, aka source material, being better than their respective animated adaptations. And from what I've seen, the anime-only community kind of sits back and begrudgingly accepts it as fact. They do this because they're numb to the critique. It's a frustratingly prominent complaint thrown at every adaptation, no matter how well crafted it may be. And the anime-only watchers aren't interested in reading the manga/light novels, hence anime only. I watch anime, but I also read manga. And what I've found is that the manga is better is a worthless argument. Anime and manga are two completely different art forms, and so are manga and light novels, for that matter. You can't compare them. But let's try it just for the sake of argument. Manga has the elements of writing, drawings, and I'll be generous and make panel design its own thing. Now, if we look into the elements of animation, we get writing, art style, animation, voice acting, music, sound design, and use of color. As you can see, animation has many more moving parts, literally and figuratively. Let's take a look at the most noticeable differences: animation, sound, and color. Manga can be in color, but a vast majority of the time, they aren't. Obviously, manga does not have moving images or sound, at least I hope you don't think it does. If you do, call a doctor immediately. Animation is the art of movement. It is a series of still images that give the impression of movement when played in sequence. A certain level of consistency needs to be maintained between the images or frames in an animated sequence, otherwise it would look awful and or give you a seizure, which could be intentional, but potentially killing the audience isn't often a goal of animation directors. In order to achieve this consistency, the art style or general way the show looks needs to be replicable, because there are many people working on the animation at once, and they all need to be able to make things look similar and do so in a timely fashion. Mangaka's drawing styles are all over the place. Some are very simple, some are extremely, painfully detailed. It's easier to adapt a simple drawing style into an animation because there's not much information to keep consistent. But a detailed art style is going to have to be altered in order to feasibly make a show out of it. This is why the animation adaptation of a manga may look a little different, but that in no way means it's inferior. Sound is also a major proponent of an animated adaptation. The only sound a manga will make is the sound of a page turning. There are onomatopoeia written out in the panels of the manga, but these, of course, do not make audible sounds. They are meant to be interpreted in your head. In an adaptation, these sound effects can be interpreted and replicated by a sound designer. However, it is more effective for the designer to create or use a sound based off the animation itself rather than the manga's onomatopoeia because it fits the scene better. Of course, there's also voice acting, which requires a casting and voice director to be able to interpret the qualities of how characters should sound and the delivery of their lines. Then there's music. Whether you like these adaptations or not, I think most people would agree that anime music can fucking slap. And even the ones that aren't bangers can still be beautiful. Music is a completely unique element that is created for the adaptations that creates a deeper meaning within the story and can elevate the impact of important moments. The music can even be used as an audible theme/motif by tying a certain song, melody, or even just an instrument to a character or an action, giving it more meaning. As I mentioned before, these differences are glaringly obvious and really shouldn't need to be stated. The reason why I feel I had to bring it up is because these things are completely ignored in the most common argument manga readers try to make, which is the story isn't good. And that just isn't true, most of the time. If you were to compare just the writing of manga to its respective anime, then you'll find that the manga often has more detail because the adaptation has to fit into a certain time frame. Does that make the writing of the anime worse? No, not necessarily. It's entirely possible that the manga had extraneous information within it anyway. More does not equal better. The writers and directors of these shows need to cut the fat off these stories in order to get them to fit the time slot. So many of these show creators know what to keep and what to cut in order to stay faithful to the original vision, or even create a new vision that is just as impactful. An example of a faithful rendition that I believe even surpasses the source material is Ranking of Kings, or Osama Ranking for you super weebs. The anime adaptation of Ranking of Kings stays very faithful to the manga, and the small changes it makes tighten the pacing and improve the storytelling. The adaptation will move minor story beats around to give them more impact or make them more relevant, and the things that are omitted feel as though they don't have a reason to be in the manga anyway. The anime incorporates more visual details and removes most narration to give it a show don't tell quality that really helps the story thrive. A more controversial example of altering the vision can be seen in the anime adaptation of Erased. The Erased manga is very well liked, but the anime adaptation got blasted for its rushed ending and omission of key plot details. And if you were to judge it based purely off the accuracy to the manga, then yeah, it can be seen as a total failure. But that's not what the goal of this show's direction was. The creators of the Erased anime were given an impossible task to fit 8 volumes of a manga into 12 episodes. Normally twice as much time is needed for that much content. The team knew this was not going to happen, so what they did was focus on a very particular aspect of the story and essentially ignore most of everything that didn't relate to it. The arc the show focuses on, that takes up 9 of the 12 episodes, is very well done and has an incredibly beautiful and powerful climax, which I think is more emotionally resonant than in the manga. Episode 8 is the climax of the anime, 9 being the resolution, and that is intended. The thing people get mad about is the last 3 episodes, which cover 4 volumes of manga, and that is insane. But the creators were forced to finish the entire show in 12 episodes. Would you rather have a very strong first 9 episodes that house a satisfying emotional climax and resolution, followed by 3 episodes of garbage that you can ignore? Or poorly paced shit show for 12 episodes? I prefer the former. The point is, it is part of the art of adaptation to know where to make sacrifices to derive the most effective piece. And okay, there are some rare cases of writing in a manga being objectively better than that of the anime, like Season 2 of The Promised Neverland, but even if you didn't read the manga, the anime was still bad. It betrayed everything that made the first season great by rushing through arcs, skipping entire arcs, and handing the characters everything they need rather than having them struggle. And that struggle is the identity of the story. Clearly, the producers wanted the show to finish in 2 seasons or didn't give a shit at all, and just wanted it done. The only reason the manga can be considered better is because this particular adaptation is incompetent. As I said earlier, manga and animation are completely different art forms, which should not be compared, but here we are. I think the reason why people like manga so much is because of the intimacy and personality. The images in manga are hand-drawn by the author, and the author sometimes leaves notes to the reader, making it a very intimate experience. The way panels are designed combined with the drawings can give the work a certain dynamicism that conveys the movement between images and can be pretty unique author to author. I mentioned interpretation a lot when discussing adaptations, and this, I believe, is the true key difference. Adaptations are pre-interpreted, whereas in manga and light novels, there's far more freedom in the interpretation of the material. You can create your own sound effects in your head or imagine how a character sounds and how lines are delivered. This is the value in manga and light novels. And if that's what you're looking for, then hell yeah, read some manga. But that does not mean that the adaptations are inferior. Adapting a motionless, colorless, soundless work on paper into a full color animation, with voice acting, sound effects, and music, is an art in of itself. To belittle that accomplishment is ignorant on a moronic level. And if you're one of those people that dislike Chainsaw Man because the art style didn't match Fujimoto's drawings exactly or they skipped like a chapter, then stick to manga. Quit watching anime and shut the fuck up because you clearly don't understand or appreciate the art form. Sorry. I'm just sick of this stupid fucking argument. Thanks for watching. A subscribe button will show up at some point. Click it if I didn't completely infuriate you. I stream on Twitch at this. Check it out. I love art of all forms, and I hate to see people belittle someone else's work. Unless it's The Promised Neverland Season 2, because, like, come the fuck on. Peace.